and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Jack, could we have roll call, please?
Trustee Stauff.
Here.
Trustee Rhodey.
Yep.
Trustee Belt. Here. Trustee Pater. Here. Trustee Kreiser. Here. Trustee Grabowski.
Here.
President Knutson.
Here. Next item is the public hearings, which we have none. Item 3 is approval of the regular village board meeting, March 17th, 2026. I hope everyone's had a chance to look it over. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections as the way it is presented this evening? And if there aren't, I will look for a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve, Rhodey. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are hereby adopted.
I abstain.
Oh, we got 2 abstentions. Still is adopted. Citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, with time being indicated by an audible alarm. When the alarm sounds, speakers are asked to conclude their comments. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address for the record. Is there anybody here that would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, well then we will go on to ordinances, which we have none. Resolution number 6 here. Review, discussion, and possible action on resolution 2026-03, a resolution for governmental responsibility for runoff management grants. Matt, you want to give us a quick insight, or?
Well, actually, this is Dave's proposal.
So we have an existing street sweeper right now. It's getting to the end of its service life, and we're looking at purchasing a new one potentially in 2027. This was previously on in our CIP plan to purchase a sweeper in 2025. We didn't do that because we had heard that there's possible to get 25% grant for the street sweeper, so we delayed it. And it's every 2 years that the grant is available. So we did not purchase it, and now we're just beginning the process to apply for a grant for a street sweeper. So this doesn't obligate the village to purchase a street sweeper. It's just setting it up so that when we get to that point, depending upon what we want, we could possibly use this grant.
Are there any questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion?
I have a question. Did we budget for this item?
So it was in the budget for, it would be in the 2027 CIP. It is in our CIP plan. 2027, I believe.
Right, it's in our capital improvement plan. It wasn't part of the budget, but it'll be part of the 2027 budget when we get there.
Okay. And when we do this, if we were to get approved for this grant, how long do you have to use it? Is there a time limit?
I don't know that offhand. It's probably in 1 to 2 years.
So they don't require a PO to get funded for the grant? Okay. It doesn't have, I mean, it doesn't have to already
We
be.
told Jay not to purchase anything before we get this grant.
Okay.
Once you purchase it, you're not eligible for the grant. So
Any other questions or comments?
Maybe we can just check on the timing of that. If we're waiting to do it till 2027, you're starting the process of the grant now, but a grant would be lovely.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-03.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution 2026-03 is hereby adopted. Old business, we have none. Item 8A, review, discussion, and possible action to approve the organizational chart for the Village of Pewaukee to make the court clerk a part-time position for the municipal court. Matt, would you like to give us all the details?
Thank you, President Knudsen. I'll introduce the topic. This is the judge's proposal, but I can kind of give it a context for the board to start the discussion. The judge is proposing to split a position that is presently shared between the police department and the municipal court. This is not the first time the board has heard this idea. The judge did introduce the idea to the board during the budget process last fall. And the board approved the budget, which set aside money to do this. When the judge approached me, I treated this like any other request from a department head. So the judge does not frequently come before the board, unlike Dave or the chief. So she sought some input from me on how to prepare the material in the packet. So I made some recommendations on what the board might be looking for. So a lot of those materials are kind of based on my recommendations to the judge. In general, my recommendations would be that the board would want information about service levels and cost, which is what you have in the packet. It's before you tonight because both departments would need time to prepare for the transition if they were going to hit the effective date of July 6th. There is nothing outside the village driving this target date, however. It was developed internally by staff. So if the board wishes to deliberate further or collect additional information, that option is available to you. And finally, this is a pure policy decision, which means you have full freedom to choose about how you want the department to run, whether you like the idea or not. And with that, I will leave it to the judge to make a proposal.
Good evening. My name is Judge Melissa Murray, for those I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, and just here tonight to give you more information about this proposal, how it's come about, some of the reasoning behind it. We did sort of introduce it last, I think it was December, Matt, is that correct?
It was actually September.
Was it September? Oh my goodness. So it's been in the process for a long time. We've probably been talking about this with Matt and with Chief for probably over a year and a half about this position. There has been some consensus reached with the police department that the split is acceptable, and President Knudsen was in on a couple of those meetings as well. Just as a bit of background, although there are not any statutory or code provisions preventing a joint clerk, the trend now is to really move away from that. Chief Judge Paul Bugenhagen of Waukesha County has actually been doing visits to different courts to see if there is a separation physically of space and of personnel. For example, this is Julie Forrest, the court clerk. She cannot wear a police department, polo, for example, because she is working court and police. And it just has gotten muddled, I would say, because there aren't specific hours that she works for court and police. And then people come in the community, or lawyers or other people know her. Do they know her as the court clerk? Do they know her as the police clerk? And it's just the real need to enforce the independence of the court, that the court is not influenced by the police department or the village or anybody else. So we feel as though this is the trend that is happening. This is not, as Matt Gorlinski looked into it, there's no code, saying that you can or can't do this. But I think the trend is to separate these out, complete separation of police and court. I am a member of the Wisconsin Municipal Judges Education Committee, and we've presented on this topic to municipal judges about judicial independence and how that is really becoming an increased priority, especially with citizens having access to a lot of different things online with court and everything else. So that's sort of the historical background and reasoning for that. And I think I presented in my cover sheet that it's like not that Julie's wearing one hat or the other hat, she's wearing them both at the same time. So that it does get muddled in terms of judicial independence. Any questions on that, or sort of where the background is coming from, historically and actually in the present? There has been some talk among the municipal judges of getting this codified at a state level, but, you know, that's just in sort of the, you know, rumblings of what's happening. But it seems as though when I started 21 years ago, there were probably half and half, half just court clerks and half joint court and municipal police department positions. And now I would say that there's just a handful left in the state. And Julie, you can verify that as far as, I also presented the clerks conference, so I could verify that as well. So I know that one of the concerns, I would say, is that what happens now that Julie's separate. So in this conference room here, this is where Julie's office would be. And you can take a look at that. She set up where the desk is going to be and everything. It's small, but it'll be functional. It'll be close to the courtroom, and public will have access to her here. A couple other ways for public access. I'm going to have Julie pass something out. Julie has a business card that she provides to every defendant. In addition, we are going to have a lockbox there for people to be able to make payments and things like that. Julie's hours would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 hours a day, so it would be very predictable hours. And the other thing that the QR code is on this piece here. We've just recently developed a QR code for court payments. And in fact, we had defendants in court today asking, do you have a QR code? And a lot of courts are going to that, so you can just click that, go to the court payment. It's really going to eliminate the need for in-person payments. People could sit here, court in their car on the way out, they can make the payment. It's been really, really helpful. A lot of other ways to pay. You can use the Dropbox if you want to have a check. We have an online payment system that works quite well, but this QR code is a game changer in terms of access. So these cards are going to go home with every defendant that comes to court with the citation number if I'm granting them time to pay. This is also the payment certificate they receive, and then every letter that we send out will have that QR code on. So we're really making good use of that for the payment situation. And the reason is, I know that Chief would agree that we didn't want to overwhelm the police clerk with payments on court dates. But we do still pay for half of that register, the cash register, and we didn't want to have a separate one for court. So we're still paying half of the cost of that in order to sort of make up for any, you know, any inconvenience for the police staff. But we really think the QR code is going to help out a lot of that. One other thing I think it's really important for you to know as far as the increased costs. On March 20th, Tony Evers signed Assembly Bill 443, finally, raising court costs in municipal actions from $38 to $48, and that is huge. So that means every single citation that comes in, that's an extra $10 that we did not have before. So on that chart that I gave you, this is just a little summary. It's not quite public knowledge yet, but this shows the amount of citations we had, and last year was I believe 1171. Let me get my glasses on. So if you talk about that in terms of $10 per ticket, that's an extra $11,710. So based on the amount of tickets coming in, that will be $10 additional for the village. So I think that's super helpful. As far as having that be implemented, we're still waiting statewide for tracks and tips to get caught up with that. Those are the internal payment systems. But once that's done, we can automatically start adding that extra $10. I did consult with Attorney Grulinski, who, based on our village code, it is section 1.102 subsection D. And based on that, it's about payment of assessment costs and surcharges. The village board doesn't need to do any action to have us implement that. So it's just going to start happening. It's going to be extra revenue for the village, which is a really good thing. So little history, a little bit of trending in terms of how things are going for separation of court and police work, and a little bit about good financial news for the village. So that's kind of what I have to present, but I'm totally open to questions that you might have. We've been talking about this for a long time, so I have a lot of knowledge that you don't have, so I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes?
Yeah, questions in regard to cost, because looking at these numbers right now, I'm seeing a total impact to the general fund, $39,742. but in reading further in your document, that does not include the $1,500 for the copier, the potential for $2,500 for a computer.
Yes.
Um,
Well, and that's, the computer, it was unsure whether Julie was going to bring that with her, but the chief said that he would like that to stay. So that was a cost that we're going to have to incur on the court side for her to have a computer.
Okay, so the $1,500 and the $2,500 is going to be an additional cost besides the $39,000.
Is that right, Matt, as far as the budgeting? Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay, and is there any other changes that you foresee right now in regard to costs? And again, we're stewards of the taxpayers.
Of course.
Okay, got to look at, so we're up to $42,000. Are we getting $42,000 in better government and more efficiency?
Sure.
In the way we're doing that?
I believe 100% that to be a yes. And I'll tell you why. Right now, as far as the position goes, the court clerk, police clerk is constantly being interrupted and bombarded with citizens coming in and phone calls and trying, it's very difficult to get court work done. So to have a dedicated person to be able to get the court work done 8 hours a day, focusing on that only, I think it provides a value to the village. For example, some of the things in here you have following up on SDC, which is state debt collection, and tips if you need that, but the tax dollars coming back that you can assess on people who don't pay their tickets. This is going to give Julie more time to follow up on SDC, people that haven't paid, all of those things that now sometimes gets put to the back burner because it's time intensive to be able to file a claim with SDC. So I do think that in addition to the increased court costs, I think it's going to be very beneficial and efficient.
Anyone else have questions?
I did have one other question
Sure.
yet also. At one point, the proposal moving forward, you state in there that the court paid $1,100, $1,160 for the security line, and you've always paid the half cost. So that's a fixed cost that was paid whether this change is made or not,
Yes.
right?
As far,
So you really can't,
yeah, the
you
$1,100.
really can't say that's offsetting.
No. That was the reason that we included that more is to kind of justify that the police clerk would be available to take payments once a month during the court dates. So that was sort of like, we're still paying for half of that. So if she has to spend a half an hour taking payments, we don't want to, we're basically saying we're not expecting her to do that, but based on the fact that we're paying half the cost of what's sitting down there and they get to use all the time, it kind of offsets that inconvenience. It wasn't more, that was more of the reason for it, because a lot of the discussion centered around whether the police department would take court payments on court days. And that was sort of our justification for the fact that we're still paying for half of that, even though Julie's not going to have access to the department or the computer. And that's another thing too. Julie will be here and everything will be separated.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, in theory, because am I right that right now there's no delineation of time?
Correct.
Okay, so in theory, if it was like split 50-50 and her time was designated to Mondays and Fridays and half of Wednesdays to be police work and the other time designated to the court side.
And I'll just interrupt you. I think it's absolutely impossible to do that, because if she's down there and Angie's on vacation, she's handling police, even it's like, this is my court day. It just, I don't know, Julie, if you can, yes, go ahead.
The reason why that doesn't work is because with the police department, if you have 3 lockups, you have to get those done because the DA is waiting for them. That's a priority. The reports that come in, retail thefts, disorderly conduct, all that needs to be done. So I can't say, well, this is court time, too bad. There is no way that you can say, okay, now I got to set this aside and I got to do that. The hard part for the court is that I am suspending somebody's license. I'm putting in an interlock. I am sending stuff over to the DMV, and then I got somebody at the window, and then I got somebody at the phone, and you go to address those, and you come back, and it's like, oh my God, where am I? So that is one of the reasons why time factor, it just doesn't work. The court doc has gotten so big. With COVID, it became impossible, the way we do things. There's a thing called judge substitution now. I had 24 cases, and those are from other municipalities, and you're dealing with oodles of attorneys. So to say, you know, okay, Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, let's work on court, or even say 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, let's work on court, and then the other, it can't work that way. And it's because of reports, lockups, EA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but we're talking about only adding like the offshoot of that to the police portion. So it seems like the hours should work to split it. I understand the concept of you sitting at the window and like whatever comes in is of course, you know, going to get your attention, and that can be distracting. But I appreciate the response. Yeah.
Jeff?
Yes, go ahead, Jim, I'm sorry.
I mean, it kind of feels like we're in your role here in a custody battle, actually. Like, we're, you know, who gets full custody of Julie here? I don't know, you know. Are you going to live with mom or
I
dad?
know, jeez.
Yeah.
I know, we're like, oh my
So
gosh.
I'm feeling that pressure here. So I'll talk to Dad then and say, so if Julie goes to the court side and we take that away, completely delineate, you know, church and state there, is July enough time for you to get your house in order to make sure that there's no gap or lapse in coverage at your front desk?
So we would hire another, so right now it's 20 hours to the police department, 20 hours to court.
Right.
So we would have to hire another full-time person, and that's where the cost goes up.
I'm saying that's
So-
where I worry, because we've seen it on the municipal side a lot, where when you have an internal take over a vacancy, and it's like, well, I'll keep helping out with that one while you get up to speed, and then all of a sudden that doesn't get backfilled quickly, and then you're not delineating them, or if you are, you're losing a key service down there. Like, at July 6th, you know, are we going to rip that Band-Aid off? And Julie's like, sorry, I can't see you over there. Like, she comes in and just doesn't even look at the window and walks up here into her office. And you're like sitting there with like papers shooting out of the printer going, I don't know what I'm doing now.
I think we can do an easy transition. We've got 60-plus days to post for a position, interview people.
And you feel confident
and
it'll
I
be
feel
filled?
confident we could find another full-time person.
Okay.
The addition to us is now we have a person there 20 extra hours a week, which we didn't before. Obviously, you're paying for it. We would be able to keep the office open till 4:30. Right now, our desk hours are 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and it used to be till 4:30 p.m. And with having an extra body there, we would hire somebody to stay till 4:30. So we could get more hours out of the person.
Because obviously we got the judge's presentation, so you're in agreement with this and you feel like your efficiency and your services can actually be increased with this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Chief,
Yeah.
why would you hire a full-time and not a part-time?
In the event that Angie, who's our full-time person, she's been here 7+ years. She gets vacation, she gets off time, sick time, and so forth. And we would have to have somebody that's willing, you know, to work that. If we would hire a part-time person and say, hey, Angie's gone for a week, who's going to fill in? We can't have the hours of just 4 hours, and you know, the office just opens 7 to 11 while somebody's on vacation. So with that, also to have somebody, I mean, when like Julie said, if you have a lockup, you got to do some work right away to type these reports, get them to the district attorney's office, and you almost need a full-time person to offset when somebody goes on vacation. It's difficult to hire somebody and have with, you know, minimal benefits as a part-time employee and say, suddenly you're going to have to to come in and do full 40-hour a week for certain weeks and be available whenever we ask you to be available. So
So in the current situation, what would happen when Angie was on vacation? Would you then step up to do more police work that week? Okay.
yeah,
And say with no one on vacation and the separation does happen, is there enough work for everyone?
yeah, I think there is. Right now we have we're WILEAG, the accreditation process, and right now we have a sergeant that does our accreditation work, and it would be nice to bring somebody new, start and teach them so that they could take work away from a sergeant. We are robust with our, if you ever look at our Facebook page, and I encourage you to all look at our Facebook page, we try to do a lot of social media. And that is, it's me and the deputy chief, pushing out stories and summaries and stuff like that, and that could be put on to somebody else. Also analytic work, when we look at it, I mean, we have a really high clearance rate on retail thefts, but this would also be able to train somebody to do other things. Link some of these. I mean, I know it's a police officer and a detective that works on these things, but civilians are more and more being brought into the workforce to act as that analyst, and some people hire a full-time analyst. So we would transition somebody to do those types of work.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to break this down into simple terms for myself. So we're looking at splitting off the court clerk, do her own thing, and we're gonna add on a full-time police clerk.
Well, it's full-time, but it would
Correct.
only be 20 hours extra, because right now we pay 20 hours to Julie for police work and 20 hours for court. Julie is completely out of the office. She's not coming in the office. She's a civilian. She doesn't work for the police department anymore, the organizational chart. She is works for the court, so she is not in our office anymore. She comes in, I hate, she's been there 5+ years, but suddenly we have to do that separation like the judge says. She's a separate clerk. She can't have access to some of the programs that are for law enforcement only. We looked into some of these things. Municipal court is not the same as law enforcement in access to police reports. So we would be hiring a full-time person to make up those extra 20 hours that we're losing with Julie leaving the office.
But so in the grand scheme of things, we're still getting a full-time police clerk, still keeping the court clerk, and my math says the difference is only $16,000 a year in the increase from 26 to 27 and moving forward, correct?
It would be it'd probably be like 25,000, because a clerk makes around $50,000 a year, and you're hiring somebody up for 20 extra hours. So 20 hours at the pay rate she gets,
So we need to increase the 2026 half of it and 27 moving forward to include 20 more hours of a police clerk.
yes.
So we're looking more, okay. Okay.
Yeah, what is that wages number?
The way, about 48, $50,000 a year, all right?
Sorry, what's the wages number that's in here referencing?
That, if I could step in, that is just based on the current position wage. So we don't know what the new hire would be. That's why the memo says it's an estimate. But it believe it would be existing wage for that, the shared position. And multiply it out by 4 additional hours in the court, or 20 additional hours.
Per,
Something's still not mathing. to
yeah,
me.
something's not mathing
It's saying
here.
12,000 and 24,000.
Right, because there's only, that change would only be effective for half of 26.
But you're saying, this is just increase of the wage that's currently on the books. So it'd be 24,000, in 2027, it'll be $24,000 more than what is currently budgeted for this year.
Correct.
Got it.
And you gotta double that, so it's gonna, that number should be around 48 to 50.
That is just the one position, not
That's the one
correct.
position.
Because this is all on me. I apologize for pulling you up early. I know we were talking court
I'm
side
here to answer
first,
any
so-
questions you want.
Yeah.
And then the wages for the court clerk is double the 40, so 9,600 for, that's, it is.
Here I go and just blending the court and police again, and it's just, this is why we have to do this.
If you think about it, He's hiring a part-time person.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, full-time.
Nope.
I know, right?
No, who's on third? It's only costing us a part-time
But yeah,
employee
but
with some additional
financially,
resources.
it's just a part-time person, yeah.
That's
And-
all we're looking at here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to break it down.
That's
I'm
it,
like, That's all we're
that's
looking
it,
at.
yeah.
And we're gonna make everybody's life easier. We're gonna get more work done in the police
Yep.
department.
And
Okay.
more money's coming in, the police department can write more tickets, there's more money
Well,
coming
let's
into the
not say
village.
that.
I
Let's
know
just
they're
say we're gonna get $10 more.
We're $10 more per ticket.
But that would have happened regardless.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's
Like, that has
happening.
nothing to do really with
No, but
the
it
math
doesn't
of this scenario. Understood.
bottom line.
Yeah,
So,
but it's,
yeah, it's it's timely, but it would happen regardless of whatever's decided tonight.
And extend the office hours till 4:30.
That I think-
Right now it's 3 o'clock.
yeah,
That
that's,
I think's
that's,
the biggest
yeah, that's a win.
element. I mean, same thing as like when we doubled the coverage of the SROs at the school to have one there past, dismissal. Like, it's just coverage. It's better for the residents. Not every resident is available to get here by 3 PM, so.
And we used to have our hours till 4:30, and then it got put back to 3, so we used to be open that late.
Give an estimate on how many hours will be spent by the new police person taking care of the payments? Be handled by the clerk.
We'll make anything work. That's always my attitude. Whatever comes our way, if we have to prepare some of these paperwork to give to Julie because she doesn't have access to the police files, we'll do whatever it takes. So, but I don't know how the transition, how much we're gonna have to do, and how much, I don't know the hours of what it's gonna do, but we can make anything happen.
Yes, sir.
So tonight, we're looking to approve the split for Julie, and then it still leaves the additional add-on in limbo for future, correct?
I think that's agenda item C.
That's,
Like I said, I jumped the gun.
that's,
Yeah,
that's, okay,
yeah.
all right.
That was
I'm
my,
just
that was
trying-
my fault, so, yeah. Like I said, I don't know where the delineation is between court and police. It's just, yeah.
Okay, and any other questions? I have a lot. Judge, in the meetings I attended, okay, we discussed the full-time position as a separate position from your position.
Thank you.
And so in 2027, the general fund will not be 39, could be as high as 50,000.
For the court person,
No, for the chief, for the person the chief's gonna hire. Because that's the pay scale, not this 39,000.
I think that was because we're taking 20 hours of that position away with Julie in the clerk.
Let's
position.
forget the hours, the
Okay.
20 hours.
Yeah,
We have a full-time person now for the police department.
hmm
That's $50,000 a year,
okay,
period.
Yep.
You don't care about her hours, she's gone.
okay.
She's gonna be up here in a room that nobody can access. That's the other thing too, ladies and gentlemen, she will not be allowed to have people up there. The other thing is, there was the item brought up that possibly there was gonna be a hole cut in the wall to access this other room for a computer system and that.
We're a copier and shredder.
Okay, how much is that?
We're not going to be able to do that because investigation, I believe, Chief, the wall.
Yeah, we went up in a ladder, up in the ceiling tiles behind here, and all the pipes, the heating pipes and everything else come up through that area. There's no way we can make a hole to combine this room to that one.
Okay, so
And we went up there with DPW, who looked at it and said, it's unable to do it, so. we can't do it.
okay, well, that takes care of that question. If that's the case, then where is she gonna put all this other equipment?
She's going to put it in that conference room, and there's room for it in there. She's only going to take a small part of that.
Oh, she'll have to walk out and,
Yeah.
okay,
We'll make it work.
all right. And when she's gone, who's gonna take care of your job, her job?
It's just, her hours are gonna be posted Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Mondays and Fridays, if there's anything that comes in, I can handle that and have access to that.
I
If there's,
understand that she's on vacation.
yeah, I will come in and help out and answer the phones and ask questions and things like that. I'm willing to step in and do that and handle some of that work. Especially because she can auto-transfer any emails that come into my personal email address at home, and that's been working.
Well, I sat through the sessions, and I didn't say a lot, I did say some things. And I'll be honest with you, I don't understand, for all the years I've been on this board and before the board, we had the position where she's at now. And there was never any discussion like what we're having now. It always seemed to work, there was never any issues. And she handled police and she handled the other part very well. I'm having a hard time saying that we need to spend $50,000 plus for all the equipment to put her in that room. And very hard for me to understand that. So that's where I'm at. Sure.
I'm not really sure where this $50,000 came from, because the PD clerk does not make $50,000.
I'm not saying PD Court, I'm talking about him, his position. Person he's hiring.
Right. But that would be a PD clerk.
Okay, the PD clerk.
Yeah, and there's no way that PD clerk would make $50,000.
Well, let's just say
benefits
this.
too.
Yeah.
Gotta pay benefits too.
Yeah, it's total package.
I'm just saying that we've had so many positions change in the village over the years. And I think everybody here at the board level can say, this is what we thought we were gonna spend, but to get the person we need, unfortunately, this is what we're gonna spend. So to think low could be a very big detriment if all of a sudden we're up $11,000 or $12,000 than what we anticipated. Because everybody around here knows, everybody on this board knows that the salaries lately have just been crazy. And to get anybody, usually you're spending more than what you anticipated. So I'm gonna stay with my 48 to 50,000. I'm hoping I'm way off,
Okay.
but I just, Chief, I'm hoping, okay?
I don't think you're off. I don't think you're off.
I just
Not at
looked
all.
at, there's
That's
somewhere
$24 an hour.
It's somewhere between $24 to $25 an hour.
That's $50,000 a year right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And we're hiring another half person, so that's $25,000 right away. By
Yeah.
adding that position that doesn't exist now.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna hire somebody that is gonna have to have the background check. He's gonna have to know something about PD work, right? Because she is gonna be handling,
Yeah, we'll post it, we'll interview people, we have nobody in line.
so you're not gonna
Nobody
pull,
knows anybody, so we'll just start from scratch and we'll train them.
right, but you're not gonna just pull somebody off the street and say, here, we're gonna let you add in all these on these police files and everything, that you're gonna have to type up and do that with, you're gonna have to get somebody that knows something.
I think the big kind of confusion is saying adding a full-time position, but yes, the confusion comes in when we say it's actually only adding another part-time position because they're already paying a part-time position. So we're not adding 50,000, if we're just using round numbers, this is nothing, no indication of what the set salary will be, but if we're using $50,000, we're adding $25,000 of new salary.
Right.
So we can't keep saying that we're adding $50,000 because we're not adding 50,000, we're adding 25.
Also, the benefits, the part-time clerk gets no benefits.
Right. So I'm talking total, if we're saying total package $50,000, we're adding 25, we're adding a part-timer, and looking at our collection numbers, we have room if somebody's more efficient, working more hours to make up $25,000 of what's not currently being collected.
But are you currently full-time? So you're going down to part-time,
So you're not really adding benefits. You're,
right? So you're going down to 24 hours a week from 40, so around, you know, so you, right, 16 hours less. And we're hiring a full, so it's really only,
it's really only that part of that salary.
correct, it's even.
It's not even benefits,
Yeah,
it's not
20
anything.
hours. We're not gaining any benefits that we need to pay in addition or
But
anything else.
what we're gaining is efficiency and potentially better services for our residents. And like I said, on top of it, looking at the numbers that were just passed out to us today in terms of fines and what is outstanding, there's room to make up that $25,000 if somebody has more time to dedicate towards it.
And then there's the small initial investment to get the new setup running.
We have to buy a desk.
Totally, yeah, totally.
Well, and there's more than just buying a desk, but yeah. Do both parties feel strongly that this is the correct direction to proceed with?
It's gone perfectly for 20 years, half and half. I'll come up here.
Come on up.
It's worked fine for 20 years, or 21 years or whatever, and why are we changing it? So there is cost involved. However, I'm not saying we didn't butt heads for the last 2 years, because that's true. So we butt heads, and that's why we're here. So I'm on the fence either way. If you guys say, let's do it, it breaks it completely. We get another half person, and life is gonna be easier for the department. But there's costs involved. If it goes back to the way it was, we'll just make it work. But then everybody knows we're all on the same page. It has to work. So I'm not saying I'm 100% either way. Whatever you guys decide, we'll make it work.
Thanks for your honesty. How about you?
Well, it's up to you guys now. I mean, I really feel strongly that I think it's the right move, not just for court, but I think it's the right move for the village. I think the citizens are going to be better served. I think knowing that there's a person dedicated for court is going to be helpful, that they're not just going up there and, you know, there's someone that's really going to handle everything from start to finish. I think that helps with efficiency. I think that the collection work can be done more efficiently and more thoroughly. So I do, but if you decide not, we'll make it work too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm starting to, I'm being a little bit concerned, like Trustee Grabowski said, about this hard date of July. We've had a difficult time hiring, onboarding new people here. How do we make the date a non-issue? Does it have to be set in stone and then Julie's just bye-bye and then?
No, we picked it sort of so we'd have a goal backfilling everything that we need to do to get done in time to present this to you guys. But we're flexible. Julie is, as she's told me and the chief, she's open to help train, to stay on. It's not going to be like shut the door, never see. She will help. She will answer questions. And if it has to be moved down a little bit, it's absolutely fine.
So it's a floating date?
Correct.
If it takes a while? to
Yeah,
get somebody on board.
we had to pick a date to know when we had to get everything together, put together for you guys. But certainly, if it's taking longer to hire, especially, you know, the position, job description chief did come up with is there and ready. But if it takes longer than that, we will just be flexible and we'll just kind of move our date back.
The other question I have, just one other, last one. She's gonna be working 4 weeks, let's just say normal, 4 weeks out of the month. And I just ran the numbers, and it's about 100 cases a month. 24 hours a day, a week. It takes almost an hour per case.
Well, it's not just the case itself, it's the defendants, it's the communication. It's all very flexible. It can take an hour. But if we're dealing with a case, for example, there's a trial and there's attorneys come in, then there's briefing. If there's a trial, she has to send out subpoenas. So one case could take 4 hours. Another case could take half an hour. It's very dependent. We had one defendant come in who Julie probably spent 100 hours on this one defendant for one case. And Matt Grolinsky is smiling because he knows who I'm talking about. But it can be very time, because you just don't know, you don't know what you're gonna get. Does that
Just
make
wanna
sense?
sure she's
Yeah,
meeting her
yeah.
time.
And I think, you know, we've had years where the cases have been in the 3,000s, so it just depends how many cases come into court.
And would this transition to an hourly position then?
Yes.
Okay. And if there isn't, say, 24 hours worth of work, what happens then? Do you just not fulfill the 24 hours?
hours.
Yeah, she's office hours too. But I think there's gonna be plenty of work. I don't anticipate that being a problem at all.
Okay.
And by statute, we have to, you know, the village has to provide a place for the judge to work. So this was kind of like, there's no room anywhere, so she's gonna be in this place, and if you wanna look in there, she has her desk laid out, and I think it's gonna work out for her. It's gonna be good.
You get your own parking spot?
Well, let's throw it in there.
No perks, part-time, no perks.
Yeah, that's right, sorry, we're taking it away if you have it.
We're saving it for the full-time
Yeah,
PD
we'll say-
clerk.
That's gonna be in the offer.
It'll be on the sign.
Any other questions or comments? This will be interesting to see how this goes. Would someone like to make a motion or something as to what they feel the board may want to do? Or you can,
You know, I'll.
feel that you want to go longer on this?
No, I mean, I don't, it's been going on for 2 years. I'll take the first kick at this and see what I'll make the motion to, I'm trying to think how to word this, approve the change to the organizational chart for the village regarding the court full or part-time court clerk position.
Yeah, past 5 times.
TCC.
Yeah, there you go.
Second. So,
Okay, just out of curiosity, could I have a roll call on this? Doesn't matter, but,
Can we make one more point?
yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, and again, my concern is that this 39,742 incremental dollars for the positions in 2027 is a low figure. It's going to be much higher. I think it's mentioned in the paragraph above, there's already a wage increase that is not included in here. I have concerns about what the total costs are going to be, and I'm not sure we're getting the benefit to the taxpayers of people.
Okay. I agree with you, Bob.
Why did no one else want to make a motion? So no one else wanted, all right, well, you know what? Hey, I made my motion, it's been seconded, let's give it a go.
Yep, Jenna, could we have a roll call, please?
Yeah. Trustee Stouff.
I'm voting right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Trustee Rhodey.
No.
Trustee Belt.
No.
Trustee Pater.
Yes.
Trustee Kreiser.
Yes.
Trustee Grabowski.
Yes.
President Knutson.
No.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 to 3.
Okay, so I guess it is changing. So then we have to go on to the next position here. Hold on 1 second, please. Review, discussion, and action on proposed job description for the court clerk position. Matt?
So President Knutson, I think this is an easier agenda item for the board. With the splitting away of that position, this is a proposed job description for this part-time court clerk, PTCC, and defines the duties that that person will do.
Any questions or comments? Again, could we do a roll call vote then if we need somebody to make a action? If there's no,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed job description for the police clerk position.
Court clerk.
Court clerk.
We're on the court clerk
Oh,
right now.
county clerk.
Yeah.
Second, Kreiser.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on proposed job description for the police clerk position. Matt, again?
Thank you, President Knudsen. I think this closes the process. This revises the job description for what is presently shared to the new one, which will be just in the PD.
Questions or comments? Okay, we'll have a motion then.
Make a motion to approve the proposed job description for a police clerk position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, possible action, request for project and funding approval for Pewaukee Public Library flat roof replacement project. I hope everybody's had a chance to go over them. The papers that we received, are there any questions or comments as it relates to this item? If not, would somebody like to make a possible action, a motion?
Motion to.
Wait, I'm sorry, I do have a,
I went right in for you.
before we get into the motions. Yeah, it was real close, but if you guys know what we're dealing with the DPW flat roof, you would question any flat roof bid to begin with. Dave, has DPW had a chance to review this at all?
So DPW has not reviewed it, but as part of the process, we did engage a roofing expert, Garland Group,
Okay.
who has assessed our roofs. He as well came in and presented to the library board possible roofing types.
Mhm.
And with that, the library board, in setting the bid, asked to see the Bittman 30-year warranted roof prices for that, and then also the 40-year Bittman roof. And according to the roofing expert, these are both high quality, very reputable roofing products and systems.
Not knocking the products, I'm talking the contractor doing the work.
So, and as well, along with this process in engaging Garland Group, that expert watches the installation process as well.
Okay.
So he will be on site, he will assess and ensure that the products are installed correctly, and make sure that, yes, everything is up to code and acceptable product installation techniques are employed.
Okay.
So,
Because flat roofs are tricky and they suck and they leak a lot.
Yes,
And
yes.
if they're not done right, it's just a mess from there on out, which we're currently dealing with, so, okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Garland Group is a manufacturer of roofing products, so they have these employees that sort of their process, when the roof is installed, if it's their products, it ensures it's installed correctly, they don't have warranty issues later on. So it's kind of this unique relationship to ensure that their products are used properly. And if they don't use those products, they use comparable system products, and they help to make sure it's all done. So.
Okay.
So I don't know much about flat roofs, but do we have to keep it being a flat roof? Why are they so terrible?
Because it's just, without proper drainage.
Yeah,
It's
sits
just
up
water
there.
sitting there, and water penetration is very easy.
Sure.
So
do-
it's just rubber membrane that's glued together. So-
Does
Yeah,
it?
so mostly you have, right, you see the gabled roofs,
Yeah.
but you also have two flat roofs. And this large flat roof, you have an elevator in the building, and that, I think you have to have a flat roof. That's part of that system because that shaft has to come up above the roofing system, the roof line. I think a lot of times they'll put systems on roofs, you know, your HVAC system. We don't have anything like that up there, so that makes the project a little bit easier. But yeah, I think the flat roof is usually just part of the design, and right, you need that depending on your facility infrastructure.
And this quote's just for the
This
flat
is
roof
just the flat roof.
process.
We have had the gabled roofs assessed, and he believes those will be good for another 10 years. They seem to be in good shape, and they have some life left in them.
Will we get the opportunity, so if we approve this, this is just an act of good faith to the contractor to go into contract, then we get to look at the contract before approval?
If you are, so maybe Matt can help with that process a little bit, because we put out the bid documents, the specs for the project. We are obligated to take the lowest responsible bid, which this is. And then with that, they must follow the specs in that proposal that was listed. So there isn't a separate, necessarily a separate contract that they sign. With your approval of the project and the funding, the project is fully approved and will move forward.
Yeah, so the board, your board is approving the funding mechanism because the library is its own entity. They're the ones contracting with this contract. You are just, with your oversight, are approving the funding.
So what would happen if there is 20% worth of change orders, warranty, labor of warranty is not covered, an additional cost in the future? That's not a capital project. Would that rely on the library and not the village?
So once again, we're getting into things that I don't know about.
Change orders would have to come here.
Right.
Yeah. So there could be change orders like with any contract, but they would have to come here for the villages and the city's approval.
The reason behind my question was I'm very familiar with construction contracts, and they change from this stage to the next stage pretty often. And you all of a sudden think you're signing something that just, oh, we're going to get a warranty, 40 years, great, it's $146,000, rock and roll. Turns out to be $180,000. 2 years down the line, starts to leak. Well, the product's covered under warranty, but the labor is $276 an hour to replace it.
Wait, are you on the DPW board also?
Right, so I think the contract included a year labor warranty. That's pretty standard, right? So hypothetically, with anything with the building, right now I deal with leaks that have been happening in the building, and if I needed repairs on those, they would come out of the operations.
I just don't want any surprises. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in good faith from our side,
Right.
there's going to be a contractual review, and it's, okay.
So I know too from this project, the one sort of variable aspect that the Garland was concerned about was if insulation needed to be replaced. And I know that they did a scan of the roof and they did not find any failed insulation. So he said that was one thing that he was concerned about. There might be variable costs on.
Yeah.
But that we passed that scan and they did not find, or that inspection did not reveal any insulation issues. But once again, right, they open it up, did that scan miss an area? That, I think that's the only variable cost. And, you know, if that were to happen and suddenly as part of this capital project, there's another $10,000, I would have to come back to this board and I would have to go back to the city and request that difference.
To your question, Trustee Stout, is there contractual review occurring by myself as village attorney with respect to this contract?
Yeah.
No. The library is its own entity. They have their own counsel.
Okay, thank you. Is there a way that we could anticipate change order costs? Because I believe what Dave and his crew does, they anticipate up to 20% in the budget of a capital project. I just feel that there's gonna be more costs. And that's okay.
Sure, right.
No.
Well, then you can approve, you know, not a not to exceed amount, I would assume.
That's kind of what I'm thinking here. I don't want
Right.
you coming back every 6 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and saying, I need another 10 grand, I need another 12 grand.
Right.
So like, well, how about we approve the 107,000 plus a contingency of 20% of change orders up to?
Yep.
You can do that. My concern is the city also has skin in the game. They may not make the same contingency. So
But
then-
we're done.
Well, the city has already approved the project and they just did their blanket amount. They did not do a not to exceed amount.
So you're gonna have to go back to them as
Right.
well. Okay.
Right, so you're really not saving her.
But we're better than the city. We're more diligent. No, I'm just.
Yeah, it's, I have to tell you, my feelings change daily.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm like shocked at the amount of this bid. Is anyone else?
No, No,
No.
not at all.
Like
It's actually a really good bid,
I
in
did
my
a-
opinion.
What? We did a roof like on our own house in another location for like 15 grand. I'm doing a whole basement for less than this. How is this, why? I don't understand why it's so expensive.
Flat roofs suck.
Construction. It's
And
a-
look at all the square footage.
Labor.
Yeah.
And I think too, obviously, one of the consideration given to is the future of the structure. If you think, this building is only gonna last us for 10 years and we're gonna tear it down and rebuild, then your considerations would be completely different on the warranty level of the roof. But I think, with the quality of construction of the library, the joint library agreement, that you have really committed to, this building for future generations. So that's why you want to put on a really quality product so that you don't have to worry about it. As well, when we had that recent horrible flood this past summer, we did have a leak down the elevator shaft, and that was a grave concern. They said we were lucky the elevator systems could have been fried. So because of that reason, obviously, getting quality roofs on your building, stopping leaks, I see leaks all the time. Currently, it's just a nightmare. You're just protecting your asset.
That brings up another great point about warranty and what it covers. They put on the new roof 2 years, it leaks, it ruins your elevator. Who's covering the elevator?
Right, yeah, that would happen. That would be
I'm just-
insurance.
yeah.
Right. But I think,
You know,
right.
Insurance, I understand that, but it's just
Yeah.
something.
But I think,
for the
right,
council
I
to look
think,
at, yeah.
for me, obviously, I've become a facilities manager, which I have no background in, so that's why it was very important as I endeavor on these big projects to make sure that myself and the library board does have that expert outside counsel or expertise to help us as we navigate.
And I felt like super confident when he came in and spoke to us multiple times. We got to feel the product, see the product. We asked abundance of questions. There's 2 people on the library board who work in construction, and they were very confident in it. And he does municipality buildings all over southeastern Wisconsin. So that just provided more backing and more support to, I think, our overall decision. And then we could bring here.
So. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know. I can just do my best to hopefully ensure that we are covered and you get the best financial deal and the money of your constituents is spent respectfully.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the project and the funding approval for Pewaukee Public Library flat roof replacement project.
Second, Grabowski.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Thank you, Nan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Review discussion of possible action on letter of agreement with Verizon Wireless consent for access to village property at 1010 Quinlan Drive for Verizon to perform Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental site assessment ESASs. Who would like to do this? Or do we?
There's not really much here. So we have a water tower at 1010 Quinlan. There's several different utility companies that have, I think, 3 or 4 facilities on this water tower, and we collect rent payments from the utilities. This is a new utility that's not on there right now that wants to potentially place their facilities in this water tower. This is the water tower that was repainted 2 years ago. So the beginning phase for them is to do a survey of the property, and so they're just requesting access to do a survey on this property. The Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental site assessments.
Are there any questions or comments?
I can, just real quick comment, I'm a Verizon carrier. I live about 4 blocks away from 1010 Quinlan, and my service is awful. So if we could rapidly approve this and get them up on that tower, and then get money from them, let's do it.
I'd like to make a motion to deny it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll make a motion to approve the assessment for Verizon.
Second, Pater.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve a stormwater maintenance agreement with the Glen of Pewaukee Lake LLC and the Glen of Pewaukee Lake Homeowners Association Incorporated. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to this particular matter? If not, then I'll look for a motion to hopefully approve.
Make a motion to approve the stormwater maintenance agreement with the Glen at Pewaukee Lake LLC and the Glen at Pewaukee Lake Homeowners Association.
Second, Rhodey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve a contract with R.A. Smith for the 2026 Glacier Road project. Has everybody had a chance to look this over? Are there any questions or comments as it relates to this particular item?
Make a motion to approve the contract with R.A. Smith for the 26 Glacier Road project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. Excuse me. Review, discussion, and possible action to confirm committee appointments by the village president. The first one is to the Board of Review. I have two citizen members that have been on it, and they have said that they would stay on, and that was Cheryl Mance and Kyle McNulty, so I would look for a motion to reappoint them to the Board of Review.
Are we able to do them all
Yeah,
together
normally we do, I think.
as all appointees?
You can, I would, because before doing that, I would ask, is there anybody, I hate to pick on anybody, but asking the board, is there any of the appointed names that you see there, would any trustee like any of those individuals taken out? Issue with any of them?
No, I'm not taking Jim out. I want him on there.
So let's look at number 2, Jim.
So hearing no serious comments to that, I say yes, you can make one omnibus motion to approve all.
Okay, I will ask the board to make a motion to approve the members for the Board Review, Public Works Safety, Joint Park Rec, Historic Preservation, Lake Advisory Committee, and Zoning Board of Appeals.
And I'm sorry, Jeff, if you had speeches planned for each of your appointees or anything, so didn't mean to step on your toes there, but I'll make a motion to approve the committee appointees as presented by the village president.
Second, Pater.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on applicants for transient merchant permits. I'll look for a motion to approve the Jordan Mueller permit.
Make a motion to approve the transient merchant permit application for Jordan Mueller.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Rhodey.
Okay, motions and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is hereby carried. And I will look for a denial motion for Elliot Curry Jr.
Well,
Oh, wait.
before we make that motion,
Yes.
because this is a licensing opportunity, we do have to make a record of the board's decision here and the basis for it. So I'm going to have Jenna do, if you could just introduce the topic as to Mr. Curry's application, just give a brief summary, and then I'm going to ask the chief
Right, yeah.
some comments on the record.
Okay, let me find the right one here. Okay, so this is a regular license application, so they just come into Village Hall, fill these out. But on these, we do a background check on them as part of the process because they're typically going door to door, selling things or that sort of nature, so that's why we do that. And in doing that, the police chief and his office did find some criminal conduct substantially related to the duties or activities of the transient merchant. So that was why I believe what started the recommendation for denial, and the police chief agreed that that would probably be a good place to start with that. But it is ultimately up to the board if they want to accept the denial from the staff or to just approve as is. But the police chief did make a letter, wrote up a letter, included the charges and everything, so if they want to review it, or if chief wants to discuss any further, he'd probably be better at discussing that than me. I don't read those very often.
We'll have the chief come up and just
Okay.
make some comments
Make a
here.
summary.
But just for the record, the board has in front of them a letter from Chief Hire dated March 26th, detailing or summarizing the results of the background check that was performed, and including the recommendation for denial and the reasons therefore. But Chief, if you could just verbally kind of summarize what happened and why you're making this recommendation.
So as a chief, I have an obligation to prioritize safety and welfare of a community, and I found in his background check an armed robbery conviction from May 5th of 2017, so it's almost 9 years ago, which is very recent, considering somebody also did time for this. But I also know that armed robbery is a type of offense that directly implicates my concern about public safety, coercion, and the ability to safely interact with members of the public. Door-to-door solicitation places an individual in close, often unsupervised proximity to residents in their homes. It involves gaining access to private property, observing homes and occupants, and interacting with individuals who may be alone or vulnerable. Given these factors, a conviction involves force, intimidation, personal confrontation is directly relevant to the risks associated with this type of license. And based on that connection, I determined there's a substantial relationship between the applicant's prior offense and the responsibility and risks of door-to-door solicitation. The denial was not based on a blanket policy or bias against individuals with criminal histories. It was based upon the violent nature of the offense, an armed robbery, the direct connection between the offense and the duties of the licensee, and the level of access and trust required for door-to-door solicitation. I was able to talk with this applicant yesterday. I invited him to be here. I invited his supervisor to be here, and I explained the reason it's concerned, but he has a voice. He was invited to come here at this time. So based on the totality of everything for the village residents, if you ask me to give my ID on this, I would deny this applicant.
Any questions from the board for the chief?
I'm reviewing the criminal history too. Is there still an open charge for domestic abuse and
So
disorderly?
I'm going to interject there. We have to be careful on what we refer to in making a decision one way or the other. Because this is a license, this is subject to Wisconsin Fair Employment Act. So we have to be careful in what we base our decision one way or another on this license on. Criminal convictions that substantially relate are fair game. Arrests can be, but I've taken a look at the record and I don't believe they are relevant. I don't want to get into arrests.
The last one's not relevant?
Correct.
Okay. Because the other ones I bypassed, the last one also triggered me. Okay.
Correct. So I don't want to go too much into the other offenses that popped up on the background check. The chief has limited his recommendation, which I think is correct, to the armed robbery offense. And that's what the board should be making this decision on.
It was also the city of Waukesha also, so that's, the armed robbery occurred right close to our jurisdiction.
Any other questions for the chief?
Whoops, sorry.
Is anyone here on behalf of Mr. Curry, the applicant? Sir, no? So with the information that's been presented to the board, there's two considerations that the board has to make. One comes from our code. You can deny a license or an application for transient merchant permit if you find that the individual, the applicant, has been convicted of any crime directly related to the applicant's proposed activities as a transient merchant. The other similar standard you have to follow is what I referenced, the Fair Employment Act, that says you can deny a license if an individual has been convicted of a felony and the circumstances of that conviction substantially relates to the license activity. What you have here is staff report recommendation. Chief has incorporated those standards into his recommendation. The applicant was given an opportunity, advised in writing actually by the clerk, and as well verbally from the chief, that they could appear and make their case as well. They have chosen not to. So the board has its record before it. Any motion that's made to deny should state the reasons for that denial, and it can be as simple as adopting, I suppose, the recommendations of staff. If there's any questions, but that's kind of what's before them.
Any other questions or comments? And I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny applicant Elliot Curry on the recommendation from Police Chief Hire.
Second, Kaiser.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on Waukesha County Case 2026 CV000542, Kirkland Crossing versus the Village of Pewaukee.
This is a case that was recently filed against the village. The circumstances the board was made previously aware of. I just have an update for the board from counsel for the village that I'd like to share in closed session as to the case itself and then the strategy that's potentially going to be adopted. So I would ask the board to go into closed session to discuss that.
Okay. With that being said, does anybody have any questions? Okay. With that being said, the Village Board of Village Pewaukee will enter in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985 1G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, specifically regarding Waukesha County Case 2026 CV000542, Kirkland Crossing versus Village of Pewaukee. After conclusion of any closed session, the village board will reconvene into open session to pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985-2 for the possible additional review, discussion, and action concerning these agenda items and to address the remaining agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to go into closed session.
Second, Rhodey.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Stout?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodey?
Yes.
Trustee Bell? Yes. Trustee Pater?
Yes.
Trustee Kreiser?
Yes.
Trustee Grabowski?
Yes.
And Knutson?
Yes.
I got it.
Thank you. somebody coming?
Just police chief.
Just the
Just. I don't know if he's coming.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Motion
Okay, we
to,
are now in open session again. Citizen comments?
motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are hereby adjourned. Thank you, everybody.